That Taylor Swift song that you just listened to, was it Taylor Swift or was it a remix by Vic and Soph?
Spotify's share price is up 18% in one day because it's just announced that it is launching AI-generated content.
There has been new data and research coming out in the last week that we have read and absolutely are mind blown by. Why birth rates are declining is totally not what we expected.
And Victoria's Secret is bringing sexy back. Its share price had absolutely fallen off a cliff, and now it is up nearly 200% in the last 12 months. Victoria's Secret is a classic example of when you put a female CEO in charge, how things can absolutely turn around.
But before that, we've got a couple of top stories that we just wanted to do an update on. SpaceX, Lululemon, and what's going on with BP.
This is The Curve Weekly, where we read the finance news so you don't have to. I'm Vic Harris, a finance professional, and have had a career making money for other people.
And I'm Sophie Hallwright, ex-television radio producer, sick and tired really of not understanding the economy, so we turned our chats into this podcast.
Huge thanks to Emily Rigby, our amazing podcast producer, and Lucy Munro, our social media manager, and everyone else behind the scenes.
Before we dive into it, we've got a word from today's sponsor. This episode of The Curve Weekly is made possible thanks to Pathfinder KiwiSaver Plan, helping you invest alongside your values.
We're really excited to bring you the ethical hotline where you can ask all your tricky ethical questions.
Each month, Pathfinder will answer the most interesting, popular or polarizing question. To submit yours, follow the link in the podcast show notes. Pathfinder Asset Management Limited is the issuer of the Pathfinder KiwiSaver Plan. A product disclosure statement is available at pathfinder.kiwi. We've got a very important story to tell before we get into our highbrow content today.
Highbrow?
Vic came into the office the other day and told a story, and all of us were like, you have to tell it on the podcast.
I was like, I can't believe I didn't remember, but I went to the gym the other day. Yes, I go to the gym now.
Is this a new thing for you?
No, it's just so far away from my house, so I'm always like, yeah, I'll go, and then I'm just like, oh.
Is it the one on the other side of London?
Yeah, but it's so nice.
Yeah.
Like, it's brand new. Anyway, it's beautiful.
It's like a full day activity.
And when I go, I feel like, I'm like, I should come here more. You know, it's one of those.
Yeah. Really beautiful.
There's like every contraption. Like there is those things that pulse your legs. There's like the machine. There's just so many machines.
There's it's dark.
And I went
wood.
in and I was like, oh, what's this? And it looked like a sauna. It was like this round wooden thing. And no, it was like an oxygen chamber. And it's like a lazy boy in this sauna thing. And you put this mask on that looks like an oxygen mask. And I was just like, gosh, I don't think I'm that much of an athlete. But anyway.
But there's all these PTs in there. There's often famous people. You kind of
and
have
like
to
beautiful.
act.
Everyone just looks, yeah.
I mean, it's not a great place to go if you're feeling low on the self-esteem, I will say.
And I also like walk in like, I know what I'm doing. I have no idea what I'm doing. What's that machine? You know, like
Yeah.
I just end up kind of running on the treadmill and then, yeah.
But you may as well just go outside of your house and go round the block.
I'm like, every time I'm like, okay, Vic, today you should try a new machine. And then I do
think the machine thing and like having a PT, it makes sense when you go there. You're like, oh, if I just knew almost a 45-minute thing that I could do, it would make, I spend most of my time just looking around being like, what's that? Oh, maybe and then I end up doing the same as you, or just getting a mat and going on the ground. I'm like, you could be anywhere.
You see those memes where people are like using the machines wrong, and you're just like, oh my god! It's like, I'll be that person. Someone will film me because I've got something on my leg, which should be on my arm or something. Yeah. Anyway, I was there the other day and I put my mat down to do some like mat work because I've done my run on the treadmill and I was supposed to mat, avoid the machines, and I was putting my mat down, and then someone kind of came behind me and was like, excuse me, can I just get another mat? I looked up and I was like, oh my god. I was like, yeah, cool, yeah. And it was Callum Turner.
Okay. So for anyone that doesn't know.
Honestly, and I was like, just say something cool, Vic, say something cool. And then I was like, no, don't say anything. And he just looked so cool, like just had the best get up and like, and then I was kind of doing my plank, like looking like down behind him. And I was like, he can't see me. And I was like, it was quite good. And then he was like doing this move with this weight. And I was like, I can do that move with the weight.
Oh
and
my
I was
God.
just trying to like copy it. Anyway. And how was the Dolomites? Dolomites sounds like, I don't know, some kind of disease.
Like a mite.
Yeah.
You're thinking like a dust mite or something.
Yes, yeah, like lice, hair lice. But no, it's beautiful.
No,
it's
so
a beautiful
this is-
place in Italy.
Yeah, it's in Italy. It's like these big Italian Alps. Do you know what? It felt more like Austria to me. It was really not Italian. I sort of went there thinking pasta pizza.
High, right? And
so
then
it used to be Austria.
Yeah, okay.
It used to be Austria, so it looks like Switzerland, Austria, and the food's quite mountainy. Like it was just not what I was expecting in terms of I thought I'd be having cacio pepe every day.
I remember when I went to Lake Como like years ago, and at the bottom it was Italy, and then as we got a boat like up the top, I was like, I feel like I'm in the Sound of Music. It was like Switzerland.
Yes, that's what it felt like.
I was like
the Sound of Music.
I
literally said as we were driving through, I feel like this is a place to yodel. You know?
I feel or spin around one of those big skirts that fans out.
Look like you've just made butter. Yes, so no, it was amazing. There's something about being on holiday and like not having anything to do except read and hike. I'm just the best version of myself.
I finished a really good book. We really need to do a book review on it. It's not a finance one though, it's a fiction, but it's got so much.
What's it called?
Yesteryear?
Oh, I want to read it. Wait, can I read it and then we do it together?
Yeah.
Okay, because I want to read that too.
Well, Soph, I'm sure you've listened to my solo podcast that I did last week.
I actually listened, Vic. No, on the way back from the airport, I was having a full-on view. No, I can't wait to talk about SpaceX. I was listening to you talk about it and I was like, this is absolutely wild. And like, I have been really interested in reading like opinion pieces and like different publications. Like it's so polarizing. Is it going to be the best IPO of all time and we're going to see people walking on Mars pretty soon? Or is it going to be the biggest flop? I've never seen IPO so polarizing, and it is because it's the biggest IPO that we will have ever had. So SpaceX, for anyone that doesn't know, is Elon Musk's business that has kind of almost 3 sub-businesses that are going to be going public for the first time within it.
It's kind of like 3 divisions. You've got connectivity, so you've got the
satellites,
Starlink. Mm-hmm. They have 75% of all satellites in the world. So huge market share. You've got the space division, which is SpaceX, which is the rocket launches. And then you've also got the AI division, which is his AI business, XAI. And then you've also got like Twitter and what was Twitter. You've got X, which is in there. Yeah, it's expected to be a $1.8 trillion company. We've never had a company come to market straight out of the gates $1 trillion. And the key thing with this is it's going to go pretty much straight into the index.
Of course.
And which means like, yes, you might have a lot of demand for this IPO initially, but then 2 weeks later, it's going to go straight into the NASDAQ 100. So not the S&P 500, but the NASDAQ 100's top 100 kind of tech companies. So you've got all the big names that we know in there already. And then you start getting all these ETFs buying shares because people like you and me, if we invest in ETFs, say we invested in the NASDAQ 100 index ETF, then if we've got regular investments in the ETF, we're just regularly buying SpaceX. So you kind of have this support. Like it's really strange for a company to IPO and go pretty much straight into an index. Usually with the S&P 500, you have to be listed for 12 months. You have all these other criteria to make sure that you're kind of a consistent top 500 performer, I guess.
So the way that you can think about this is a lot of people don't invest in singular companies. ETFs are a really great way to get exposure to a whole lot of different companies. Mm-hmm. And so the idea that a lot of people will already be buying the NASDAQ at an ETF format.
Yeah.
It's like that money's going straight into the business that otherwise if it takes a while to get there. So it's almost like Vic you talk a lot about the idea of, and I remember when you first spoke about this and it made no sense, but
still doesn't.
No, it's sort of like the rising tide lifts all boats. Like if you're in something like the S&P 500 or you're in the NASDAQ 100, by just virtue of being there and this money pouring into that area, you're sort of growing with all that money. Whereas if you're not in it, you don't have access to the same amount of investors.
It's like a store opening up on like a street front.
Oh, that's a good idea, yeah.
And like you've got a few people passing by, and then if you're good enough, you can go into the shopping mall and you've got this captive audience of people that always come in. They go to other shops, they buy things from other shops, but you're there or like kind of.
Yeah, it works, totally works. Okay, it's just the idea of you're being in the place where the money is, where you're not normally. The thing you mentioned last week about Elon Musk's what's it called, like bonus structure.
Oh yeah.
When you said one of his is to get 1 million people living on Mars, I firstly thought this is so another PR stunt, genius. And secondly, I thought, does anyone know how awful it is to live on Mars? It's not like you can't even go outside. There's not quality of life. I at first was quite excited. I was like, oh, this feels hopeful and how amazing that we can diversify where we're living. And then I looked up Mars and what it would be like to live there. It is dire.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I thought it'd be fun and hot and scorchy and cool. It's not.
It'd be like a permanent heat wave. It'd be great.
You're not allowed to go outside. I was like, no.
Yeah. It'd be like...
Well, it's like a spaceship almost.
Like a submarine.
Oh, God. Yeah. Anyway.
One thing I don't think I touched on last week was... Yes, this IPO is massive, but all that money has to come from somewhere, right? Like they're raising $80 billion. So $80 billion has to come from somewhere, and most of it will come from like other stocks in the stock market. People will be selling shares to buy this. You know, like if I didn't have any money to invest and I really wanted to invest in SpaceX, I would sell my other investments to invest in this. So it's just a lot of money at one hit. And then we've also got OpenAI, we've got Anthropic that are supposedly coming to market this year as well. I'm like, where the hell is all this money coming from?
Definitely a lot of people are saying there's no way this can't be the top of the bubble. Yeah. There's no way that this can IPO and that the market can, particularly the US market, can continue to grow. Like there's got to be a point in which it's popping. And this is what we've spoken about for a really long time.
There's kind of the market aspect and what indications this means for the stock market and like the world we're living in. Then there's kind of the company aspect. And I hate to say it, but Elon Musk delivered on every outrageous thing that we have thought. And we sit here and we laugh about 1 million people on Mars. I kind of am like,
no, this like it's so weird that you say that, because when I listened to your solo episode, I thought that. I thought I even though this is a huge, there's no way that's not a PR stunt, you know, like as in there's so something they know is going to be pulled apart and spoken about and make it interesting to talk about the IPO, you know, like that's obvious. But I also in the same breath thought this is probably going to happen, which is terrifying. I've also seen a lot of people talking about the way that IPOs, you know, there's all this initial hype. People get so excited almost immediately. If you look at some of the most popular companies that anyone listening to this would know, even if you didn't know they'd had their IPO, when they went public for the first time, they came out of the gates, did really, really well, and then did badly. It's
usually the ones with a lot of hype. That you're right, it's hype and then it dies down. They have maybe their first financial result they release. It's not quite what people expected, or people make a lot of money at the IPO and they sell. They're like, oh, okay, I've made a bit. You know, this has had a really great hype. It's done really well or whatever. Also, the key thing with this is Elon Musk is going to have complete and utter control. Like he has got, I think it's over 80% of the voting right. Like he is SpaceX. Yeah, exactly. So if you're investing in this, you're investing in him, and he is not perfect. He has a big ego, but he has got shit done. And I'm so glad that I've like alive to witness this. Is quite crazy.
Does this feel like a real moment?
It does. I really need to make up my mind with either one side or the other. And I just like, the more I read and the more I research, I get kind of more confused. And part of me's like, I think I'm leaning towards backing it.
Really?
Yeah.
I'd be interested to hear, maybe if anyone's listening to this and has an opinion, thoughts, please comment wherever you're listening, because it is such a polarizing for so many reasons, not just because he's the CEO.
No, but like investing in founder-led businesses is exactly what we say all the time, is like invest in visionaries and founders that take a long-term view. Like Elon Musk takes the longest term view and is so visionary. Anyway, that's my piece.
Yeah, no.
Okay, Lululemon. So we spoke about this a few weeks ago now. They had that three-way kind of issue with, they had the existing board. So Lululemon's done shit, by the way, if nobody's... they had the existing board, and then they had this new CEO come in from Nike. Then they had the founder also wanting to make change, and then they had this activist investor who wanted to put the ex-Ralph Lauren CEO in. So there was kind of this three-way battle at the board.
Basically, there's so many conflicting views on who they think should be running the business. It's been doing badly. The person who founded it, his name's Chip, right?
Chip, yeah.
Is that his last name or first name?
Chip Wilson.
Chip Wilson, kind of a funny name. So anyway, Chip.
This is baby Chip.
I kind of like it. Chippy. So he basically, they put a new CEO in that he didn't like. He wanted someone new. Everyone was basically disagreeing. They were trying to,
everyone had their own view of how the business could do better. Anyway, the founder and the existing board have come to an agreement. He is now allowed to have 2 board seats, and one person he's put on that board is the ex-CEO of On Holdings, which, you know those shoes? They're like Hokas.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. They got the upside.
Oh, yes, yeah.
That company hasn't done well either. So
why are they doing that?
I don't know.
Get some people who actually have had really good track records in similar businesses. It's so baffling to me.
The funny thing though is that the founder now has a pretty much a gag order. And he can't say anything disparaging about Lululemon because he was previously out there being like, the board's shit, they're not doing the right thing.
I kind of get that. I mean, firstly, we started talking about it because he was doing that. But secondly, I imagine they probably just wanted to get him to shut up. So they're like, fine, we'll give you 2 board seats, but you need to stop talking.
Totally. It's like a child. Okay, we'll give you 2 board seats, but shut up. Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, let's move on to BP and just do a quick update on what's going on here because it's been drama central.
Honestly, BP, it feels like a little bit of a lost child. It's had its first ever female CEO and it's the first female of like a major oil company. Like it's quite major. They've had a lot of turnover. They've had 5 CEOs in 6 years.
God,
like
that's
imagine
bad.
Like the distraction, right? Of like someone leaving, coming in, getting their feet under the desk and then they're leaving, get like
As everyone that works, it'd be so scary.
And
every
the strategy,
single year.
the growth will be impacted anyway. Like they've also churned through 3 chair people.
The chair of the board.
The chair of the board, yeah. And this has all started because back in 2020, 6 years ago, BP was the first major oil company to commit to slashing oil and gas production by 40% for the next 10 years, so by 2030, and really shifting into renewables. Investors were initially like amazing, but the returns were absolute shit. And so they got rid of that CEO. They've had another one. Like their share price fell. It became half the value of Shell, its closest competitor. Like it was quite disastrous. So it kind of went back on those targets. And it's just been kind of flip-flopping. And anyway, they've had this new CEO come in and she's the first female CEO. So I'm just hoping that she can bring about some change and some stability. But it's been a bit of drama.
Well, yeah. I mean, the last 2 stories we've spoken about, BP and then also Lululemon. Have you heard of the glass cliff? I hadn't heard of this until researching these stories. And it kind of shocked me. Not really. God, I mean, at what point are we not shocked anymore? But for anyone that doesn't know, this is basically, it's a concept that was coined by 2 researchers, Michelle Ryan and Alex Haslam. They looked into women minority groups and when they're sort of put into leadership roles and the way in which it's almost into roles that a lot of men would shy away from because there's such high risk of failure. So this situation and Lululemon, where both businesses are massively struggling.
And it's like shit. We're like scrambling almost. And it's like nobody wants to take it. So it's like, let's not give it to a woman, but like.
But maybe it's like there's more women that are open to taking it. Maybe who knows? But this is like a phenomenon in the fact that there is so many different massive business cases where, like Yahoo, when it was having a total meltdown, they put a woman.
Which is shit, right? Because then we get tarnished.
Well, that's what I mean. It's almost setting people up to fail in a way. And I think that, Meg O'Neill, who's the new person that's been put in at BP, the enormity of what she has to turn around and deal with. And the same with the CEO that they were trying to put into Nike.
Yeah. Theresa May with Brexit as well is a really good one.
Whether it's in politics or in business, when people say when shit is hitting the fan, imagine there is shit all over the walls at this point in any business or in a country, and they find someone who's willing to try.
Yeah.
But the hurdles they have to get over to actually succeed is so enormous.
I kind of think of it also as, is it that they need that kind of different kind of leadership? They need more of the empathetic kind of leadership because what hasn't worked in the past, and now they're kind of not clutching at straws. They're kind of in a place of desperation. They're like, we just need to try something different.
Well, I mean, I think that's a nice way to look at it. Yeah. I think what's problematic, though, is that the stats that you then look at in terms of female CEOs succeeding, it is tarnished by this because they're not getting a fair shot at doing it well. So the first big news story that we wanted to look at today is Spotify.
Its share price was up 18% in one day.
I am devastated that I didn't invest in this.
So they have struck a deal with Universal Music to let subscribers create AI-generated covers and remixes of real songs. And the key thing here is that it's all legally licensed. So this will cost extra on top of your Spotify subscription. And it's essentially kind of turning one song into like 10,000 songs. And the idea is that you can personalize and kind of remix your own music inside the app. And Investors obviously loved this. Spotify getting into AI music. I don't know how I feel about listening to AI generated music.
Also, what kind of loser is putting their own AI generated remix at a dinner party? I'm sorry, like, oh guys, here's Taylor Swift's remix. Like, isn't that that I did? Isn't that weird?
Yeah. But I reckon it'd be a good test case at a dinner party. Just put it on and see if everyone's like, oh, I love this music song.
But what are you doing? Sorry, you go into Spotify and you think, oh, I love this song, I'm going to do a remix. And then you're DJing your own, like, I don't understand how it works.
Yeah. You just create your own remix. You could put your own voice in there if you wanted. Imagine.
I mean, I think the whole thing is honestly bizarre.
But they're going to do it like Instagram has that like blue verification of like, this is a legit account. You know, the little tick. They're going to do like, this is a legit artist. This is AI. So you will kind of know this is legit Taylor Swift's song. This is her singing. This is her recorded it, whatever. This is Sophie Hallwright, AI generated.
Okay, I have so many thoughts about this and I don't know where to begin. Firstly, can you imagine if you spent years building your record, years writing songs, perfecting them, and then you give them to Steve and he's completely butchering them at his own time? I mean, is that not kind of problematic?
I just feel like we can't prevent this happening, right? So how do you control it? And I think this is what Spotify is doing, is we are heading this way whether we like it or not. There's going to be AI artists and there's going to be human artists. How do we control and make sure that it's done in a legal way and that the end consumer knows and the artist is fully aware of what's happening? I don't know. One thing I took away from this, though, is this is Spotify now getting into content. Universal Music was the one that would give the content and Spotify just distributed it. Now Spotify's getting into content.
I was speaking to a friend who's actually a drummer of Lorde. I was talking to him about the story and he was just saying, I think / hope that we will move into a place where artists are able to own their distribution more and consumers can know that the way that they're supporting the artist that they like is going directly back into the artist. I mean, there's someone he knows who won Record of the Year and had like $200 or something in their account. You know, it's like artists are struggling so much financially. Yeah. Even the ones that are doing really well, the system is so broken. And I feel like giving content or autonomy to users to be able to dissect and take art that they're not even getting paid for.
It's where the world's heading, right? Having more ownership and like getting rid of middle people and like platforms, and there's a lot of democratizing going on anywhere, whether it be investing, whether it be, you know, music. It's like power back to the user or back to the consumer.
It's just, I think, the deregulation of enormous control that used to be in few places. And you see the same thing with media. You know, we used to be in a place where there was 3 channels. Totally. Now it's completely democratized. You don't have to go to the same place. You don't have to go to a record label. Yeah. I mean, I even felt this when I was working at Sony 6-7 years ago. It had its heyday, you know, 15 years ago. Since then, it's been in slow decline, you know, like desperately hiring big teams of creatives to try and turn things around. You know, it's
Well, it's like brands, like retail brands used to go through department stores, and like that was the way that they got exposure, was like being in a department store. And now they're like, no, we want to own the customer. We want to have that direct relationship. And I think it's like there's lots of industries that are heading that way.
I just am not going to be creating. So you're not going to see Sophie Hallwright on Spotify.
I kind of want to, and just
1, 2, 3.
Like, just come out of your house and be like, hey, just sound this new song.
Could you just like put this really cool playlist on?
And then you'll be like, this is great. And then you'll listen to it and I'll just stand.
It's not going to be right. We already have really bad taste in music. Can you imagine then on top of that being like, we've done a remix? Like, no.
Coming up after the break, we are going to speak about declining birth rates, which I know we've kind of spoken about this so many times in different ways, but I'm mind blown when I read this article.
Same. And I read the same article you're talking about, and I'm really excited to talk about it. I have a lot to say. Thank God there's a microphone in front of me. Okay, before we dive into that, just a quick word from today's sponsor. It's one thing to invest based on returns, but what if a company just does not sit right with you? Like the CEO gives you the ick and you're wondering if you should sell your shares, or if you're weighing up the pros and cons of investing in weight loss drugs, sometimes it can just be really confusing to navigate.
Ethical investing isn't always that straightforward, so So we've decided to bring in the experts. Pathfinder's team specializes in this kind of investing and are going to help us and you navigate this really important space.
So each month, we're going to dig into the most interesting, popular, polarizing questions. If your question is picked, you're going to feature on the podcast, which is so fun. But also, if you want to remain anonymous, that's totally fine.
So you can submit your question to the ethical hotline via the link in the podcast show notes. And thank you so much to Pathfinder for making this episode of the Curve Weekly possible.
Pathfinder Asset Management Limited is the issuer of the Pathfinder KiwiSaver plan. A product disclosure statement is available at pathfinder.kiwi. Right, now, I often am not struggling to get my words out. There are so many things I want to say right now. Okay, so
we're going to start with big picture.
Yeah,
big picture.
perfect.
Big picture.
Sounds great.
So we're like
so excited, it's unreal.
So more than 60% of countries around the world now have birth rates below the level needed to keep population stable. So this is super concerning, and we all know that when you have an aging population, so more people getting older than you do, new young people coming in, being born into the world, into the country, that starts draining the economy and costing the economy a lot. Like if you have a lot of older people on the pension using healthcare and you don't have enough young people and paying taxes, helping fund that, you get this really bad imbalance, and it can be really disastrous for population growth, economic growth, and we saw it in Japan.
The interesting thing about this research is that the data for a long time was that, yes, population was slowing, but it was more in first world countries. That's no longer the case. And I think that is the most interesting part to this conversation. There is so many reasons why populations and birth rates are declining. There's economic problems, there's housing problems, there's so many things. There's people choosing, like the modern woman, deciding.
There's childcare expenses.
The list goes on. And we actually, we've been doing quite a lot of research on this lately, especially because lots of the statistics that are saying that we're having less babies, if you actually dig into it, it's that there's less teen pregnancies, there's less young people having babies, which is a sign of, education and people, having the autonomy to.
And also there's people are delaying having babies, but overall, there's like the high level statistic, and then there's a lot of moving parts underneath. And what we're seeing that for a long time, the kind of average amount of children was at 2 for most countries. That's now 1, and it's in a lot of countries it's 0. And yeah, you're right. This isn't just like a rich country problem. It's absolutely everywhere. And people and researchers have tried to figure out, is it the cost of childcare? Is it the fact that, women are wanting to focus on their careers? Is it the fact that people are now living in cities and houses are smaller and therefore they're having less children? But nothing has really been found to be the hang your hat on. We've found the reason until now.
So
sorry.
I know.
Sorry.
What are you doing?
I'm just
Oh my, I'm so scared. What are you about to do?
This is the reason.
Oh. I was like, sometimes you and your surprises freak me out. I was like, what's happening here? Yeah.
The reason is,
guys,
this.
The reason, look at you, wherever you are, look at your screen.
Or don't.
You're holding the problem. Yeah. You're holding the problem right now. So basically, research has come out saying that in the last 15 years, the decline that we've seen in less babies being born can be directed more towards one specific problem, and that being iPhones.
Yes, smartphones. Yes, yeah. If you look at the graph, it is scary, and we obviously can't show you the graph.
Well, we can. If you're watching this, we could put it on the screen.
It's like shows that there's like a general trend up in terms of birth rates, and as soon as 4G is rolled out, which is effectively smartphones, across the world. Yes, 3G was more developed countries, but then 4G, pretty much every country has it. And so that's kind of the indicator of smartphone rollout. It is like complete fall off a cliff. And so they've obviously taken the statistic of smartphones and declining birth rates and overlaid it and just seen like, holy shit. And it is because you're not socializing in person, which means you're not meeting a partner and then making a baby. Like it seems obvious, but it's quite scary and frightening.
Well, I think in the same way that you were explaining that there's the overarching problem and then there's so many threads below it, I think there's also so many threads when it comes to technology, because this also is not new.
Yeah.
And I was listening to the FT, the Financial Times chief data reporter, John Byrne Murdoch, was speaking about this. And I just want to play a clip because I think it's really, really fascinating.
The thing is, we've had technological innovations over the centuries throughout history. What makes this particular shift to more smartphone usage worse than other technological shifts?
Yeah, it's worth mentioning that these theories are not actually new. People have been talking about this and finding evidence of this for a long time. So in the 2000s, there was some really interesting research done looking at the impact of televisions. And several different researchers using different methods found that the number of televisions per person in a country was a stronger predictor of its birth rate than simple measures like economic development or female education. You then had additional studies that showed that even within couples, those that had televisions or more televisions had fewer children or had less sex than others. Another study found that people who watched TV shows centered around families that had few children had fewer children themselves. So this is not some kind of exotic smartphone-specific theory. It's something that people have been talking about and finding evidence for a long time.
So I think the interesting thing with that is, like, you know, you're talking about that graph and it falling, for sure, the iPhone coming out has, because we're all addicted, we've got internet in our pocket, we're scrolling on our phones when we could be talking to someone in person.
Could be out there meeting someone, like doing activities outside, like, yeah, all of that.
But I think it is important to note that it's not as though they hadn't considered this or looked into this data before, because everything that has a screen that is taking you away from in-person interaction, the common thread is the idea that instead of talking to, spending time with people, engaging in a way that is way more natural, we're watching more, we're doing more with screens. And that is the reason that people aren't meeting people. If they meet them, they're not actually creating a deep enough connection. They feel comfortable then having children with them. Like, there's so many threads that technology, I think, is impacting the amount people have sex, but also like the types of relationships that we're in and how close we feel to someone. And I think that's just so fascinating.
It's so interesting, the TV comment, because and I was like, there's like that saying, it's like when people have heaps of kids, it's like, oh yeah, we didn't have television back in my day or something. You know, there's always like a joke of like, oh, your television must be broken. I kind of forgot about the introduction of television. It's exactly the same, really.
It's just been massively accelerated in the last 15 years since we had smartphones. But I think what's quite interesting about this is, what can you do? For a long time, we've been talking about this in terms of, well, they should introduce childcare subsidies because people aren't doing it because they can't afford, which by the way, all of these things are relevant, right? Like people that can't actually have kids and having to spend so much money on fertility treatments or egg freezing, like there are many, many issues. The fact that so many people can't find long-term accommodation to feel safe enough and stable enough to then think about having kids. Like, there's for sure the financial and economic
And we're not
issues.
saying get rid of smartphones and the birth rates will go back up. It's more like there is so many issues now probably than there wasn't when there wasn't, 20 years ago.
But also, how do you can't police that or put a policy in place that says people can't have phones in their bedroom.
Yeah.
My point is just like, what do you do about that?
It's like a loneliness epidemic, and it's got so many other issues as well as birth rates of, we're seeing, like, particularly in men.
But I think it's the idea of also like separating people and people finding it harder and harder to find someone that they A, want to be in a long-term relationship with, but then B, when they are in one, being completely disconnected because you're so distracted by your phone.
Or your expectations are very different, right? Because you've been on TikTok and Instagram and seen all these like beautiful relationships or beautiful people, or
like fall in love again and again, and you're expecting that to be in real life. Like, that's what I should feel. Yeah, I mean, we recently, I was going to say in our household, as if I'm so mature, but I don't know if I've said this, but I moved in with my boyfriend, and we ordered when we read this article, we ordered an alarm clock. We're like, no phones upstairs. Our phones are downstairs.
I noticed it with my partner. Yeah, we're just kind of like, all of a sudden it's silent, and I'm like, oh my God, we've both just been sitting there scrolling on our phones. It's quite like, no, let's go for a walk.
I just think I need rules. I need to be quite serious about it. Otherwise, honestly, I would sit there scrolling for hours.
We need to talk about why this matters, though.
Yes.
Because, yes, we can talk about declining birth rates and all of that, but I think there are so many aspects of why how it can impact an economy and impact the stock market, impact your money and your investments. And I kind of touched on it before about Japan. Like, the aging population is one thing that's like really, really bad if you don't have that kind of prop up from young people paying taxes. And we saw that in the 1980s with Japan. The economy was like stagnant. It did nothing. It went from being like the second most popular economy and most flourishing to just like lost decades of growth. And also from a government perspective, governments just have to step up and spend more on pensions and healthcare because there's not that support from younger people. So there's less spending on education or innovation or things like that.
It's basically, at its core, the idea of people, and there being enough people means you produce more goods that the people need. If there's not enough people, you're not producing the goods. That's not creating jobs. That's not creating, increasing the GDP. It's all this big flywheel where if you don't have the people, you don't then have the demand to create the products. Those businesses, the ones that give people jobs, it makes sense when you actually think about it. But yeah, I mean, I used to look at these stats and the idea of declining birth rates and think, brilliant.
Like,
I was like, this is so good because the world is too populated and global warming and blah, blah, blah. But if all of the economies collapse, I mean, what is the world going to look like?
I would rather have a really flourishing economy with lots of young people being born with an innovative mindset and, the ability to fund new projects and new ways of reducing our impact on the planet than
worry about the waste they create or the resources that they use. Yeah. We do have one more story that we should touch on before we finish.
Victoria's Secret has announced that it's changed its ticker from VSCO to VSXY. Now, I just want to, a ticker is effectively like a number plate for a company. Like, it's a quick identifier. We talked about On, that company before. Like, theirs is On. It's quite funny.
Love it.
Yeah, so simple.
The reason we want to talk about Victoria's Secret is, you will remember, it had an absolute shocker.
Yes.
The past kind of 5 to 7 years, I would say. I even was walking through the airport coming back from Italy and I saw the Victoria's Secret shop and I thought, I remember when I was so excited when I first went to America to go into the Victoria's Secret shop and I got cute little underwear and I got a sports bra that had Victoria on it or sport, and I just thought it was so cool. I used to love it.
And I remember watching the Victoria's Secret fashion show thinking it was incredible, and they had incredible artists and the outfits, and the woman, in my opinion, looked incredibly beautiful. And then now
the thing
it's had a real fall from grace in it, and rightly so.
Exactly. And I think it really speaks to the times. The fact that it speaks to the times, the fact that we were excited by the brand, that we looked at the show and thought, wow, cool. Because there was zero diversity. It was the whole thing was problematic in so many ways. It almost was like the epicenter of what is wrong with the way that women are sexualized and how we're expected to look. And they almost swung the pendulum quite far the other way, didn't they? Where they realized that the tone wasn't right and that they needed to look at doing it differently.
Well, it was a bunch of men sitting around a boardroom dictating what was quote unquote beautiful. And there was a big uproar of no, for a lot of people that isn't what they consider beautiful, and diversity is beautiful and all different body shapes. And so it was also found out that Les Wexner, who is the founder, had ties to Jeffrey Epstein.
That's
and it was
right.
kind of, it all just unraveled. They got a new CEO and a female CEO, Hillary Super.
Oh God, this is really on theme, isn't it?
Yeah.
In a dire situation, let's bring on God.
Oh my God, it is. Wow. Yeah. Anyway, she rejigged it in terms of its identity, and it looks like it's working. They've had 3 consecutive growth quarters now. They're on their way to expectations of $7 billion in revenue this year. So they've really had a turnaround because it was going backwards before that.
I just want to read a quote from the new CEO, Hillary Super. She says, "Sexy is deeply personal. If you ask a room full of women what it means, you get a different answer every time. Every woman gets to define it for herself. Our role is to listen closely and translate what we hear into products, stories, and experiences that help her feel seen, supported, and powerful in her own skin." And it's interesting because, in 2018, one of the marketing officers, also a man, this guy called Ed Rozak, he gave an interview in Vogue in 2018 that essentially was saying that, transgender women shouldn't be on show, that, the whole thing, it was diabolical what he said. It's just amazing to see where there were men in positions of power, whether it's marketing, whether it's running the entire business, trying to connect to women and tell them how they should feel, look, etc. Now having a woman that is obviously stepping into what she knows to be true, which is you actually also can't even perform your way out of it, because after this happened, when they tried to be inclusive with bodies, it was almost worse. So they're obviously genuinely trying now to do it in a way that's authentic, that there are different body shapes. Everyone feels sexy in different ways. So, I mean,
and I think having a female CEO is the epitome of that, right? Like I'm not saying that
especially
is the
if
answer,
that's how she refers to the ethos now in terms of what they're trying to make people feel.
Totally. But we've also now got an activist investor in there, this guy called Brett Blundy. So this is someone who's, slowly accumulated a lot of shares to try and bring about change in the business. And when you get to a certain threshold, depending on the company, you can get a board seat. So therefore you can hire and fire certain people. He is wanting a board seat, and Victoria's Secret has said no. And they're citing his decisions to hire executives with history of serious allegations of sexual harassment. So he's got a bit of a tarnished track record of hiring certain people. And they're just like, we have done so much to turn this brand around. We are not letting you in here to reverse all that hard work.
And are they able to block that?
If they get enough support from shareholders, yes. I mean, he get one board seat. It's not the end of the world, but it does kind of, I guess, it could open the floodgates to disagreements on the board, and then things don't get passed, and then, strategies don't get implemented as quickly because there's kind of like friction on the board. So
I'm surprised if things are going well financially, why that Brett is trying to get in there and make a blunder.
Oh, no, she didn't.
That was a Vic joke. I'm surprised they got to say
I know.
that.
Damn it, why didn't I think that? He has got a great track record of operating in female fashion, I guess you would say. He was the founder of Lovisa, which is like an online jewelry store, bras and things, Dish, that company.
Dish
so
he's actually done quite well in Australia.
God, I always find like these ads and I'm like, that's cool. Oh, it's Dish again.
I know. I'm exactly the same. It's quite reasonably priced as well.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Anyway, I'm hoping this is kind of doesn't become a thing, because that she has done incredible work in turning this business and the brand and the whole identity and what Victoria's Secret is about around.
It would be fascinating to get her on and do a deep dive on the whole brand and ask her what were some of the biggest business decisions and marketing decisions that really led to the decline and what she's trying to do to turn around.
Because I genuinely thought it was like done for. It has been a huge turnaround. Yeah, so she's been there for a year and 9 months. And in the last year, like if you think it takes a while to get your feet under the ground and bring about change, in the last year, it's up. The share price is up 200%.
Oh, stunning.
Love it, love it.
We love it. We love to see it. Okay, so we've got a community question. I'm going to read it out because I'm going to be throwing this one right over to you, Vic. Hey, love the podcast and wondered if it's okay to reach out as I have a question regarding selling stocks. Well, you have come to the right place.
Welcome.
Now, if, for instance, I have $1,000 worth of stocks that I bought over a period of time, they've grown in wealth and are now worth $2,000. Woo, amazing. If I sold 500 of this, how do I know if I'm taking out the profit only or some of the original investment? I want to understand what will be calculated as profit taken and then how much I should be putting aside for tax time regarding CGT. I don't actually know what that is.
Capital gains tax.
Oh.
Yeah, so CGT is capital gains tax. New Zealand doesn't have it. Australia, UK, most countries around the world have it. And it's tax you pay on the profit of your investments. With this, her profit is $1,000. She bought $1,000 worth of stocks and now it's $2,000. So the difference is $1,000. Her profit's $1,000. So if she sells 500, she sold half her profit.
Yes.
And I can't answer the capital gains tax question on like how much she's going to pay because it depends how long she's owned it. I assume she's Australia because it's dollars and capital gains tax, not pounds.
Yes.
And but
which would mean there's $1,000 Australian dollars that is her profit, which is what she would have to pay the capital gains tax on.
But then Australia has in some cases if you hold it for over 12 months you only have to pay half. You only have to pay capital gains on half. So anyway, you will have to pay some tax, but what I'm saying is your profit is $1,000. So if your investments have gone from A to B, it's the gap between A and B is your profit. That's solely your profit. And then from there, you might have to pay capital gains tax on that.
So I guess when she's saying if I sold 500 of this, she's only selling half her profit. You're not actually selling your original investment. Unless you got to 1,000 and you were taking out, say, and you wanted to get it down to all you had in there was 500, then at that point you've sold 100% of your profit and 50% of your original investment.
Yeah.
If that doesn't make sense, reach out. We can let you know. But it's essentially, the original investment will always stay the same as what you put in originally, which for you was 1,000.
Yeah. So if you sold 1,000, you'd be selling 100% of your profit.
Yeah, nice.
And you still have your original investment in there of 1,000.
Sometimes I find when I read questions like this, I mean, when I first read this, I thought, I'm going to throw that over to you. I mean, I answered that quite well, I thought. So sometimes it feels more confusing than it is my point. Before we wrap up, quick mention for our IOU episode coming out this month. So it's coming out this week on Thursday. Hannah Kumakis she's actually a New Zealander who has got the most interesting story. I mean, firstly, she's the biggest entrepreneur I've ever. I mean, she has like 1 million businesses. But she interestingly learnt about and had to budget and pay for everything from the age of 7. So her parents gave her money and she did everything from socks, present, like all of it. And her approach to money and budgeting and everything is so interesting. So that episode's coming out on Thursday for anyone that wants to listen. That would have been
a steep learning curve for me at 7. I would have spent it all on socks and then been like, shit.
You would not have spent it all on socks. You would have spent it all on like
lollies.
McDonald's.
I was such a chubby child. Gosh.
You were a happy child.
would eat so much at birthday parties of friends that I'd vomit.
Did that happen a lot?
It happened a lot, yeah.
Really?
Like in sleepovers.
Almost bingy.
Mum would have to come pick me up because I spewed. And, it was just like, control yourself a bit.
Were you not given nice? Like,
no, we
not
weren't given
stuff
sweets. So then, like,
you just.
I remember my friend's house, and she had this whole drawer of cookie time, and I was just like, and she was like very contained, and I was like, how? I was just So I think it had the opposite effect what my parents wanted. I'm still really like learning self-control. Anyway.
For me, it's when things are free. I get so excited.
Yeah.
You know, if there's a free snack or a free drink, I'm just like, perfect. I'll have all of it. Yeah. Okay. Well, have a great week, everyone. And would love to hear any comments, thoughts on this episode, please. Most platforms now you can comment where you're listening. Also, if you happen to like this episode, please send it to someone. And also, if you've never given us a review,
please do.
Please do. We've actually only got 1,000 reviews. It's quite sad.
Just say hi.
Yeah.
You know?
Anything. We're desperate at this point.
Yeah.
Okay. Have a great week.
See you.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening to The Curve Weekly. Make sure you hit subscribe or follow wherever you're listening so you're always up to date with the latest finance and investing news.
And feel free to leave a comment to let us know what you thought about this episode because we would love your feedback.
We've got new Curve Weekly episodes for you to listen to every Monday, but until then, listen to Erasing the Curve. These are our in-depth podcast episodes where we chat about all things money.
We're also around all week on socials if you're hungry for more Curve content, and all the links are in this podcast's show notes. We hope you have a great week, and we'll catch you for the next episode of The Curve Weekly on Monday.
Okay, quickly. The Curve was created to empower and educate you about investing, but we are not financial advisors.
Our platform exists for educational purposes only, and it doesn't provide personalized investing advice for your individual needs and should not be relied upon to make an investment or financial decision.
And always remember to do your own research before making any investment or financial decision.
We're here for any knowledge and support you need, but the final call is always yours.
And thanks for being here.
You got this.
Yeah, we know you got this.